We are live. Thank you for joining me for my thoughts on Young Jedi Adventures Season 2, Episode 11, Tower Run / The Jumping Jetpack. So, the episode is for ages 6 and up, so this video B. There will be spoilers for the episode and potentially basically everything Star Wars leading up to and including it. And yeah, another good to great episode. So, let's see. Yeah, jumping directly into. I wonder if we're gonna get follow up on. So by the end of this episode, they still have the tower. I wasn't entirely sure if that was if they were gonna, um, what's the word? Um, yeah, if that was gonna change hands again by the end of the episode, but certainly that is they can again, I haven't watched ahead of this episode yet. Yeah, there's stories there they could tell. Um, so that's yeah. So far, I've been pretty happy with uh, what's it called, continuity on this show. Them bringing back yeah, and um, yeah, we're again seeing this thing of the story discourages greed and seeking power for its own sake. Really, really great value for young kids to, ideally we'll want them to internalize values like that at a young age so that they don't, because it is, obviously, like a lot of people over the course of our lives will be in a situation where it's like, if you take a certain action, you might get a lot of power. And, ideally you think about, well, would it hurt someone if I took this power? And yeah, that's especially like today in America, we really, really need more people to think about that so that we perhaps avoid the second Trump term, where various people were literally given their position just because they suck up to Trump sufficiently, which I guess to a bunch of MAGA is better than DEI and affirmative action, even though those are for making sure that people who know what they're doing but aren't cishet white men get, jobs like this, which gotta say, I think that might be better, but maybe that's just the lefty in me. Now, I think the yeah, and I really appreciate this thing of they focus on, well, Chig really doesn't want to work for the Gangles to the point where he leaves his home, and the good guys help this refugee. Am I overanalyzing? Probably. Perhaps. No. I don't know. Maybe sue me. It won't. It'll happen again. It won't end here. That's what I was trying to say. Um. And yeah, it also like acknowledges, well, so it acknowledges this is something that happens when people take power just because they can, and both that you shouldn't do that, and also that if someone expresses they really want to get away from someone who's abusing their power, maybe you should help them instead of rejecting them. By the end of the episode, like, he meets Hap, and they're both very happy to meet each other. Yeah, I think I don't have an awful lot else to say about the first story. Let's see. Yeah, I thought they did a good job on so yeah. Early on is like, well, how are we gonna get Shig out of here? And I think it's Liz who's like, well, Tabor is right there, and Kai is reluctant to trust him. He does at one point say, well, listen, I think Chig deserves a chance to conclude his redemption arc, and so do you. Again, haven't watched past this episode, but I feel like we're getting there. We're inching our way there, which is great. I really appreciate that they've made his character more complex. He was very one note for was it the entirety? It was in most of the first season, at least I think. But I kind of love the part where so they're talking to Tabor, and Tabor is just like, yeah, doing his usual thing, and just the look on Kai's face is like, come on, man, like really, we're gonna have to, just yeah. Um, as someone who occasionally listens to Trump and prominent conservative talking heads talk, I very much related to Kai there. And I also thought a great job on a couple of inside the helmet shots where we see his eyes, and I think that pretty well gets us. So yeah, they're almost getting to the ship. I also quite liked the Tabor community. Okay, we're coming. Who else is? And he's gone because he doesn't really communicate that well with a lot of other people, including people close to him. But yeah, they're so close, and then Tabor is like, "No, I'm going to do this. You said I have a choice. I'm choosing to do things my way." And yeah, that again is an incredibly important message. A lot of times in our lives we have choices to make, and yeah, we should make the right one. We should do the right thing. And I really appreciated that by the end of the episode he does. And the thing about it looks like he's leaving, but he was just making an illegal U-turn. And yeah, it was pretty funny when they're sneaking in the boxes, the upturned boxes. Was that supposed to be a reference to? I think that happens in the Clone Wars movie. I only watched. Well, I guess I now watched the movie twice, huh? But yeah, and each episode of the show once. I am planning on doing a rewatch at some point. Anyway, I think yeah, that might yeah, and the thing about were those crates not over there before? I just feel like we got to be careful that we don't get like Solid Snake infiltrating us. And I think, yeah, um, Tabor insisting, no, I did this for me, never forget it. And yeah, Kai points out it's a big deal. You actually helped us. And let's see, yeah, there at the end, he's like, not only is Chig welcomed, he's even like, yeah, the thing he did really well before, he's now doing, this in his new home, where it is appreciated by the people who live there, or at least half. Yeah, again, that's something we should do. And obviously, if you're 6, there's not that much you can do. But like, if you watch this episode and then you see one of your parents verbally or physically doing something that's like rejecting immigrants, you could go, well, they're just they just want a home here. They want to be part of the community. Yeah, I think that brings us to the second half. Yes. So too bad there's so little Nash in this episode. Was this episode written by someone who had a virulent anti-Nash agenda? Like in the first episode, they're like, "Oh, she wouldn't get here on time," and then this one, we only see her via hologram for like 20 seconds or something. Yeah, I'm joking, obviously. She can't be in every episode, as nice as it would be. But she gives Kai an assignment, and he goes, and Marla, jumps and says, no time to explain, Rocketeer related incident, and he's like, Rocka who? And very, very cool to see Maz Kanata. Was not expecting that, but that might be my favorite cameo the show has done so far. And yeah, it was very cool to see that, see her in action. And like the fact that even back at this point, like this is, set some time before those movies. The fact that she was already running around having adventures. Like at this point, she's already talking about like, oh, back in the day we had adventures. Like, holy crap, she's been adventuring for a while. And she didn't even take an arrow to the knee. She kept adventuring in those movies. So, yeah. But also really cool, this thing of, she's not, Marla is not just that lady from the junkyard. She had a life. This thing of, okay, so I got to be careful how I word the following so there's no misunderstanding. So, obviously, I'm not saying it's always the case. There are times where it can go very, very wrong. Use your best judgment and maybe ask another adult. But yes, sometimes, senior citizens really do know certain things much better. Like, obviously, you're not going to go on an adventure with a senior citizen in real life. Not like this, anyway. But it's Star Wars. You're also not running around with a lightsaber at age 6. I think the yes, the yes. Sometimes they do know more and better than us young people, and um, I personally, I have had a lot of really great experiences talking to elderly people. For example, about the lives they've led and such, and I don't know. Sometimes I find myself thinking, what a privilege this is. I never think. That's a joke. But the seriously though, it's a we again, sometimes they're wrong about certain things, but there are a number of places where our elders know better. And let's see, the entire that half of the episode is Kai learning to listen to his elders. He thinks that he knows adventure better than they do, but they were adventuring before he even existed. And he's trying to cross in that first manner, but then he gets cut off like a rope bridge, and yeah, he's worse at the swinging and the various jumping, and just yeah, that was fun. And ultimately, Maz does get a little too ahead of herself. Let's see. Um, and yeah, I mean, each time that Kai tries to just rely on the Force, it doesn't end up working. So saying, we can't rely entirely on ourselves, we should rely on other people as well, especially people with experience. And that, again, extremely necessary value to instill in kids. For this ridiculous individualist crap that just causes a lot of problems, including when it works out for the individual. It usually ends up causing problems for them in the long run. Now, I think, yeah, and he ends up it works because he listens to Marla, and she gets to apply her skills, and yeah, um, by the end of the episode, he. Right. I should also. I like the thing about how at first Marla's like, forget that jetpack. Then Maz is like, excuse you, it's mine. It's up to me whether or not we just abandon it. But yeah, basically at that point in the episode, Marla is a little bit down on herself. It's like, I can't believe that jetpack. I couldn't do a better job on it. Um, and yeah, by the end of the episode, she trusts her abilities enough that she fixes the jetpack. We do get the very Disney joke of, well, it works eventually. But yeah, they what's the word again? They yeah, he actually asks her for a story, an adventure that she had. Um, yeah, that's yeah. We can learn so much by listening to people who have experience with things. Yeah, that covers it for this one. Uh, let's see. Am I remembering right that that's in the schedule? Yeah, I think might be. I'm not sure I'm going to do a video on an episode of this show next week because there's multiple things that I really want to do. So it might be at least 2 weeks before the next one I do. But yeah. Um, in closing, as someone who loves when there's playing with language, I did quite enjoy when what's her name again, Sabak, leader of the Gangles, after reaching victory, said, "Yaram Tar is ours."